What's poppin' everyone, Adma here. So, if you clicked on this video, then it's most likely that you have enough money to buy the Tecno POVA, but the Redmi Note 10 Pro was already on your radar and you're just trying to wonder which you should get over the other. Or maybe you just have more money and you just want to know. Let's talk about these two phones. So, the most important thing that I normally like to talk about is performance. The Redmi Note 10 Pro has a Snapdragon 732G, which is an 8nm process chip, while the Tecno POVA 2 has a MediaTek Helio G85. Okay. Now, the MediaTek Helio G85 is a 12nm process chip against the Snapdragon 732G, which is an 8nm process, which already gives the Snapdragon an advantage over the MediaTek chip. That's exactly what you should expect. The Redmi Note 10 Pro has slightly better performance than the Tecno POVA 2. It may not be noticeable side by side, but just know it that technically, on paper, the Redmi Note 10 Pro is faster and more power efficient than the Tecno POVA 2. And then this is further backed up by the fact that the Redmi Note 10 Pro, the Pro variant, not the regular Note 10, starts with 6 gigs of RAM as opposed to the 4 gigs of RAM that you will get on the Tecno POVA 2. That little bit of RAM gives the Redmi Note 10 Pro an advantage because I don't even know why phones come with 4 gigs of RAM in 2021. That shouldn't even be a thing anymore. But it's here on the Tecno POVA 2. I would say if you want performance, go for the Redmi Note 10 Pro. You will definitely not skip out on it. The good thing about it is that it goes up to 128 gigs of internal storage with 8 gigabytes of RAM. I would have preferred 256 by 8, but I can't really complain for the price points that the base model starts from. The Tecno POVA 2 goes up to 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of internal storage, which is decent at best. Now, the next most important thing is always the batteries. Now, this is a straight win for the Tecno POVA 2 because the Tecno POVA 2 is packing a 7,000 mAh battery. That is about 2,000 more than the highest capacity phone that I've ever used, the Homage F1. I mean, that is insane. I can already see the impressive battery life you're going to be getting from this. It does come with 18 watts fast charging, which is no different from 10 watts charging in my opinion, because it's a very huge battery. Something like 33 watts would have been fine, but then if Tecno did that, then there wouldn't be anything for the Phantom series. So I can't really complain too much. The Redmi Note 10 Pro has a 5020 mAh battery, which comes with a 33 watts charger in the box, which can get your phone up to about 40 something-ish percent in about 30 minutes, which is fine. Long-term use of the battery depends solely on how you are. Like, if you watch my review on the Homage F1 linked up there, you know that depending on the use case of my battery, how I took care of the battery, whether I was charging frequently, what kind of apps I was running in the background, what kind of background processes I was having, it would significantly affect the battery life. But yeah, that's just it for you in case you wanted to know. The next most important thing is the camera. Now, I want to say this straight out of the bat. I do not believe that the Tecno POVA 2 will have good camera performance because the POVA series is more like a mixture between Tecno's POVA series and then a gaming-centered phone. So the Tecno POVA 2 has only one camera. It's supposed to have 4, but like I keep saying, the other cameras are useless. This has a 48 megapixel main camera at f1.9, which is pretty wide. I would have preferred something like f1.7, but I am not going into camera specifics because I don't believe anyone who's watching this video is going into camera specifics. Now, the other cameras are a 2 megapixel macro and 2 depth sensors. Why are these here? I do not know. Why is there no ultra wide camera? Tecno, please, I beg you, stop this. Now, the Redmi Note 10 Pro has a 108 megapixel camera. Bear in mind, more megapixels doesn't mean better photo performance, but Xiaomi's phones have always had some pretty good image processing, so I don't expect any difference here. It has an 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is fine, but then it has 2 other useless cameras, a 5 megapixel macro and a 5 megapixel depth sensor. Sorry, not 5 megapixel, 2 megapixel depth sensor. Useless. I don't know why they add these things. It's just useless. As for the selfie cameras, the Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro has a 16 megapixel selfie camera as opposed to the 8 megapixel selfie camera of the Tecno POVA 2. It's not really that much of a difference. I don't take selfies as much, so I don't even think I will notice that these are here. But if you needed more megapixels in your selfies, then the Redmi Note 10 Pro is the way to go. Now, aside from these 3 major things that I've just talked about, the performance, the battery, and the cameras, the remaining aspects are the design and the screen. So, the Tecno POVA 2 has a 6.9 inch screen as opposed to the 6.67 inch screen that the Redmi Note 10 Pro has, but there is a differentiating factor. The Redmi Note 10 Pro comes with a 120 Hz refresh rate. If you have not used it, trust me, that is beautiful. And that is what causes the Redmi Note 10 Pro to one-up the Tecno POVA 2, because the Tecno POVA 2 comes with a 60 Hz screen. I don't even understand why they didn't add at least a 90 Hz screen, and this is supposed to be a gaming phone. It doesn't make sense to me. I really don't get it. It has the battery to take it, but they don't add a high refresh rate. Dumb, in my opinion, but that's just me. Now, the screens also come with hole punches, and I like the placement of the Redmi Note 10 Pro's selfie camera, which is at the middle, the top middle, as opposed to the top left on the Tecno POVA 2. It's personal preference. Your own preferences may vary, so I'm just throwing that out there. And the last thing is the design. Now, it's a little hard for me to decide which design I like more. I think I prefer the Tecno POVA 2's design because of the camera layout, but the Redmi Note 10 Pro is a unique design. So if you want something that will stand out, the Redmi Note 10 Pro is for you. All in all, technically you can already see that the Redmi Note 10 Pro is the better buy for you. But if you don't have as much money, you will not be compromising on performance if you go with the Tecno POVA 2. The only thing you'll miss out on is the high refresh rate. That's one of the things you will feel the most if you go for the Tecno POVA 2. But if you go for the Redmi Note 10 Pro, what you will miss out the most on is battery. So it depends on you. How do you use your phone? Put that into consideration when you want to buy a phone. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.